Hello, this is Nick. This video is going to be a proof of concept, kind of a working session video. I wanted to experiment to see if it was possible to pull assets out of Tabletop Simulator and push them over to my Vorpal Board sessions. So instead of scanning a bunch of cards myself, if I could just leverage cards and assets that other people have created and uploaded to the workshop area of Tabletop Simulator and use those to bring into my Vorpal Board game. So it probably is going to be just as fast for you to scan these in using Vorpal Board's scanning technology. It's pretty fast and easy to bring cards in that way. But again, this was just a proof of concept. I wanted to see if it could be done. And it did take, I'm a software developer, so I found a node package that I could use to download TTS backup. I used to download images from restoration games Unmatched. And I also wrote a custom C# program to crawl through those files and turn them into properly formatted JSON file that Vorpal Board understands. So again, this was just kind of for fun. So let's get started. So to get started, you need to have Node installed on your machine, and you need to install this program TTS backup. After that's installed, you can just run it by calling TTS backup. Alright, and what this is going to do is it's going to ask you where your workshop files are located. And you can see that I've run this before, so it remembers the last time I gave it the workshop file info's JSON path. So you enter that in, and it's going to crawl through everything you've subscribed to on the Tabletop Simulator workshop, that the community generated content. So you can see a list of the games here that I have subscribed to, and I want to have it crawl through the Restoration Games Unmatched official cards and pull down assets for that. So let's hit number 9, and I'm going to save everything. Let me show you here. Here's a blank folder I have set up. So it's going to pull everything down to this demo folder. So let's kick that off. And so what this is for, I think it's expecting that you're going to take these files and back them up or use them for another Tabletop Simulator instance. So I think this wants to know where you're ultimately going to store these files so it can fix the file path for you. For our purposes, we don't care. So you just type some garbage in here and let it do its thing. So we'll give this a second. Alright. So all these files have been downloaded to this directory, and unfortunately most of them are just this big long string, and they don't have any kind of file extension. So what you can do is you can run like a PowerShell script, and I'm just going to guess and assume everything in here is a JPEG. So it's just going to crawl through here and slap a .jpg on the end of them, and we can see that the file system now recognizes these as images. Now, I don't believe all these images are JPEGs. I think some of these, like the tokens, have clear backgrounds, so they're probably PNGs. But you kind of get the point. It downloads all the card backs, all the assets used in the game. So this gives us a good starting point. So from here, what you can do is you can crawl through here, and you can pull out the assets you want to use. And to make things simple for this demo, I've gone ahead and I've pulled out the cards I'm interested in, or the assets I'm interested in. So I'm going to create a Jekyll and Hyde deck from the new Cobble and Fog. So I believe this image here was used for a card box in Tabletop Simulator that all your cards are located in. You got a token here. I think this is a dual-sided token in the actual game that you can flip over to each side. We're just going to leave it like this for demo purposes. Card backs, which Vorpal Board has not implemented yet, but that will be coming in the near future. And Jekyll and Hyde's Power Hero card that tells you exactly what they can do during the game. So if you're familiar with Tabletop Simulator, you'll notice that their card decks are one image that is comprised of the 30 different cards. So I did a quick Google search, and you could certainly, like if you're Photoshop savvy or you have other graphics programs, you could probably chop this up pretty easily. For purposes of this demo, I just found some random website that will slice images for you. So you can give it, you can upload your file, and you can tell it, hey, I know this image has 6 cards in per column, and then there's 5 rows of these cards, or 6 columns of cards, and then 5 rows of cards. So it's going to slice it up equally, and the cards don't have to be super huge in quality, so you could probably maybe do JPEGs of 80 quality, and then click OK. So what this will do is it's going to slice that big image into its 30 different parts, and it'll give you a link to download all those files. So again, I've already done that. I'm going to pull this big image out of here, put it in my prepped folder. So I have, this is not all the sliced cards. Let me talk for a second about what I've done here. So normally what this would do is it would give me 30 cards. But if you're familiar with Unmatched, you'll know that there are some duplicate cards in the deck. And we don't have to upload each and every individual card into Vorpal. We just need each unique card. So in my C# program that I wrote, I just made a little naming convention. So if I knew one of my images, one of my assets was going to be in a deck, I just prefaced it with the name deck hyphen, and then I give it a deck name, and then an underscore breaks it out to the rest of the image name. And at the very end of the file, I put underscore X, where X is the number of cards in the deck. And if you open one of these cards, you can see that Restoration was kind enough to give us a little cheat sheet here. So with each card image, you can tell that in the lower right corner here that there's X number of cards in the deck. So this with haste card, we can tell there's 2. So I renamed this to be Deck Jekyll Hyde, and at the very end I put underscore 2, and then I deleted the second copy of the card. So I just went through and did that to all these cards, like this guy here. Pure Evil has 3 copies of the card, so I renamed this one to Deck Jekyll Hyde underscore whatever the original image name was, and then underscore 3. So my C# console app will crawl through all these files in this directory and build me an appropriate script file that will let me that will tell Vorpal Board how many cards are in each deck. So apart from that, there's another naming convention I can use, and off the top of my head, I don't know how many hit points Dr. Jekyll starts with. I should have looked that up before the video. Oops. Just for demo purposes, we'll start him at, I don't know, 13. So again, a naming convention, I can say counter underscore, and at the very end I can say underscore X, wherever whatever I want that to start at, but we can change that later. These two cards are not going to be used for anything right now. They're just going to be imported, so they'll just be imported as regular assets. So I think that's it. I think I'm ready to run my console app, and it should generate a game data file for us. So let me fire that up. And this was written in .NET 4.7, probably 4.7.2. I know that .NET Core will run on both Windows and Mac, but I wanted to leverage the older Newtonsoft library, which is kind of being deprecated in .NET Core. Newtonsoft makes it super easy to build out JSON files, so I just used it because I was familiar with it. So I'm going to run this guy, and the Vorpal folder name, I think this is ultimately going to be the name of your save game that you see in Vorpal. It'll include this in the file name. So let's just call this Jekyll. And then I'm going to tell it I want it to look through here for all my files. Alright. Easy cheesy. So I did do some experimenting with doing decks and like folder structures, and Vorpal didn't seem to play nice with that. So any assets that you want included in your Vorpal game just need to be in your root folder here, and that's all the little C# app crawls through, is just whatever's here. So that's it. So I have my assets ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is going to flip over here to my Google Drive, if I can find it. So I'm going to use a program called AutoSync. I think it also has another name it may be called Drive Sync for Android once you purchase it. But one of the guys on the Vorpal Board Discord server turned me on to this, and it's pretty handy. So you can sync files from your Android to the cloud. So that's what I'm doing. I'm backing up. So I pick a folder on my Android, and I chose the Vorpal Board save folder, and I'm syncing up to a particular folder on my Google Drive. And the cool thing is if I have this installed on multiple phones, I can pull those files down to each phone or push changes from my phone up to my folder. So these are all the saved games in my Vorpal folder that I've been tinkering with. So let's make a new one called Jekyll. And I'm going to... Oops, those are all my test files. I don't need those. Okay. Struggling to find my screen, bear with me. Okay, so I don't need this folder. I'm just going to take everything except for this folder that's in the root, including the game data, and we'll drag this over here and copy it up to my Google Drive. Alright, all 18 files are up there. So now on my phone, you can't see this, but off screen I am firing up Drive Sync Pro, is its other name. Drive Sync Pro on my Android, and I'm going to click Sync. And this tells me that it's downloading all the files, and we'll give it a second. While it's downloading, I will flip over to Vorpal and get ready here. Okay, so let's open my Jekyll folder, which magically appeared on Vorpal Board. I'm going to connect to this room that you see here, 472.954 IVWW. Sweet, here we go. I guess if I had been smart, I could have looked at this card. I think this tells you your starting health. Yeah, it's 16, so I got my number wrong, but you can see that it did turn this into a counter with a starting number of 13. It brought in my Jekyll Hyde asset token, which I could have split up into 2. But the important thing is I should have my deck now, and you'll see that if you remember, I named these files deck hyphen Jekyll Hyde. I could have put a space in there, but I didn't. So you can see the deck is named the same thing I named the card here, and you can also see that it has 30 cards in it. So that appears to have worked. So let me give it a quick shuffle, and we'll draw a couple out to the table here. Nice. So anyway, that was just a fun experiment for me. I just wanted to see if it was possible to pull down stuff from Tabletop Simulator without having to scan everything in. One advantage is, this is the actual artwork. Most times on Tabletop Simulator, you won't get the actual production quality graphics. It's just going to be stuff that the community has scanned and uploaded. So this is one benefit when you can get the official stuff and use it. But again, if you have the Cobble and Fog set, it's going to be pretty quick to just go through your deck and scan them all in. So this may be taking the long way to get here, but it was a fun experiment, and thanks for watching the video.